Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for January the 24th, 2022. The Royal Rumble is this coming Saturday, live on the WWE Network / Peacock. And of course, NoDQ.com will have you covered. I will be doing live play-by-play results of each match this Saturday. And then afterwards, right here on the YouTube channel, I will be doing my recap of the show. I hope to see everybody there. And don't forget, we got predictions coming up this week as well. With that being said, let's get right to this Raw recap. We started off big. We started off right with the WWE Champion Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, their weigh-in segment. Yes, a weigh-in, which, you know what? I'll take it over a contract signing. They've done the contract signing segments to death. I'm happy that they changed it up a little bit and did a weigh-in. It's unusual for WWE. They do not typically do weigh-in segments. AEW has done a few, but not WWE, from what I remember at least. If they have done it, it's been a while. Anyways, we had Brock Lesnar be introduced by Paul Heyman. And Lesnar was wearing a cowboy hat, a black cowboy hat. I love it. Brock Lesnar just wears whatever he wants. He is Brock Lesnar, and I love this babyface Brock Lesnar. He's just having fun. Now, Adam Pearce, Corey Graves, they were questioning the attire. Brock Lesnar said, should he get naked for them? And they shut up very quickly. MVP cut a promo, said that Lashley will be gaining a little bit of weight after this weigh-in. Of course, he was referencing the WWE Championship that will be held by Bobby Lashley if he beats Brock Lesnar. Lashley was just getting very upset with the whole demeanor of Brock Lesnar. Lashley was saying that Lesnar is acting like a fool, and at Saturday, there will be a new champion, and it will be a spoiler. It will not be a prediction. He said it will be the shortest reign of Lesnar's career. Lesnar responded by saying, yeah, maybe there will be a new WWE champion, and that new champion will be Bobby who? And then Lesnar quickly took his leave. I enjoyed the segment. The only negative about this whole buildup is I was kind of thinking we were going to get more interaction between Paul Heyman and MVP, like a promo battle between the two of them. We really did not get much of that at all. Paul Heyman was more or less standing out there with Lesnar, and Lesnar may have done more talking than Heyman. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, you should wear a cowboy hat for your live streams. Well, the problem is I do not have the cool factor that Brock Lesnar has. Brock Lesnar can pretty much wear anything he wants, and nobody's going to call him out or say he's a fool, except for in storyline Bobby Lashley. But yeah, Brock Lesnar can pretty much get away with any look he wants because he's Brock Lesnar. I do not think that I could pull that off. We had our first match of the evening, which was Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega, Queen Zelina. Pretty basic match here, not a very long match. Bianca countered the code red and picked up the victory with the KOD, the kiss of death. And the announcers brought up how it's been 24 years since there have been back-to-back Royal Rumble winners. I believe there have only been 3. Hulk Hogan won twice, 1990, 1991, and then Shawn Michaels, 95 and 96, and then Steve Austin, 97 and 98. And I do not believe it has happened since where somebody has won back-to-back years. Now, Bianca Belair definitely at the top of my list of potential winners for the Royal Rumble, but the news came out today about Ronda Rousey seemingly coming back to WWE as soon as the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, which is something that I've been talking about for weeks here on the channel. I just had this feeling that for WrestleMania, being a two-night event and all, you need two main events, right? Two big marquee matches. One of them, of course, destined to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. But what are you going to do for the other night? Well, there's always that Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey one-on-one match that we did not get. We'll see what happens. I still have a little bit more time before I finalize my prediction. Stay tuned for the NoDQ.com predictions for the 2022 Royal Rumble event. We had Kevin Owens challenging Damian Priest for the United States Championship, and Kevin Owens cut a pre-match promo, talked about giving Priest his first pinfall loss on Raw. They had a really good match here up until the finish, of course. Typical Raw. Very strong match here between the two of them. Owens was dominating a good part of this in the early moments, but then Priest chokeslammed Owens on the apron. Owens was able to make a comeback after the commercial break. He hit a big tornado DDT off the top. He then hit a top rope frog splash, which Priest kicked out of. And then Owens tried to cheat. He did a roll up. He grabbed the tights, but Priest kicked out. And this set Priest off. Priest, he became Damian. And he started attacking KO in the corner, refused to listen to the referee, and he got disqualified. And this has been like the fourth or fifth time now that Damian Priest has been DQ'd and keeping his title as a result of that. Not a very babyface thing to do. And I kind of felt like the crowd was more behind Owens than Damian Priest. Like this whole gimmick with Priest, if it's designed for him to be a babyface, it's not working very well because I feel like the crowd is starting to resent him being DQ'd in every match to keep his title. That's what heels do. They get DQ'd so they retain their title. Anyways, after the match was over, Sonya Deville yelled at Damian Priest and told him to get it under control. We'll see what happens when they have the rematch. Maybe we do get a Damian Priest heel turn at some point. I just know that this whole split personality gimmick, not really cutting it. And I'm feeling like maybe we should get a KO title victory and then have Priest go full-blown heel. I'm feeling that might be the best idea at this point. And let him have his own music, by the way. I am not a fan of his new music whatsoever. We had a 6-woman tag team match. Rhea Ripley, Dana Brooke, and Liv Morgan against Carmella, Tamina, and Nikki Ash. And before the match, all 6 women did little promos to hype up the Royal Rumble. And it quickly broke down. This was another very basic match. And things quickly broke down. Carmella tagged in. She trash talked. And then Rhea Ripley put her in a submission. And Carmella tapped out. And that was that. After the match, Nikki Cross took a cheap shot at Rhea Ripley and then ran away. And that was it. Very short match. I guess it barely advanced the Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley storyline and let the ladies cut a promo for the Royal Rumble. Whatever. It was okay. Basically time filler. And then we had an interesting segment. We had the Alpha Academy Spelling Bee. On paper, going into this segment, I thought this was going to be terrible. It sounded like it was going to be a really dumb segment. So let's talk about it. You had Chad Gable cutting his promo, talking about how vocabulary isn't Toledo's strong suit, Toledo, Ohio. By the way, they practically sold out this Raw. It wasn't a very big arena. It was about a 6,000 seat arena, smaller than what they usually do, but it looked good on TV. Maybe that's a sign that WWE needs to start running some smaller venues, because it looked good on TV. They run in these NBA size arenas and they struggle to fill the place, and it just doesn't look very good on TV. Anyways, back to the segment. Orton and Riddle came down. And by the way, the Alpha Academy, they are in the Royal Rumble match. And each one of them took turns spelling a word. Otis misspelled his word, but it was deemed to be correct. Whoops. That's what happens on a scripted show. I guess you just have to go with it. And Riddle spelled his word correctly. And he made a joke about weed, which Randy Orton very much appreciated. And Chad Gable had the word disillusion, but he spelled it as dissolution, T-I-O-N at the end, and he got it wrong. And he blamed the moderator for not pronouncing it correctly. And Randy Orton then spelled dumbbell correctly. And then Orton challenged Chad Gable to a match. I have to say, this was entertaining. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and these comedy segments are very much hit and miss. But I thought this one was a hit. I thought Gable did a great job, and the crowd was reacting to it. And you know what? If the crowd enjoys it, then I tend to enjoy it as well. You get an idea if it's connecting with people, and I think it did. And I found it to be fun to watch. And yeah, there was the mess up with Otis, but hey, it's live TV. It happens. I was entertained by the segment, bottom line. So we had a singles match, which was a really good match between Randy Orton and Chad Gable. Back and forth match here between these guys. Both guys had to regroup on the outside to stop the other's momentum. And Gable got slammed on the table, and then he turned the table on Randy Orton and slammed him on the table. Otis provided a distraction. That helped out Gable for a while. Gable targeted the leg of Orton. Otis ended up attacking Riddle on the outside, and that backfired on him because later Riddle used a scooter on Otis, and back in the ring, Gable had countered a punt into an ankle lock, and he was kind of distracted by what was going on the outside of the ring, and Randy Orton took advantage of that, and Randy Orton hit the RKO. Chad Gable did a great job of selling the RKO. Randy Orton picked up the win. Thumbs up. Everything about this, from the spelling bee to the match itself, you know, you got whatever you wanted. If you like the sports entertainment stuff, you got it in the talking segment. If you like the wrestling, you got the wrestling. So I enjoyed this very much. And then afterwards, Riddle got on the mic and said that next week they will have a scooter race. Again, it doesn't sound like something very good on paper, but if this week was any indication, I think it might turn out to be entertaining. So I'm not going to knock it until I see it. Moving on here, we had another Alexa Bliss therapy segment, and the doctor said she's making progress, and she talked about Lily. She ended up going into this whole speech about Lily, how she was 6 years old and Lily helped her get rid of the bullies. I'm guessing we're led to believe that the bullies were killed by Lily, and she just kept going on, and then we cut away from it. So at least it was short. It was short, and You know, a lot of people speculating about Alexa Bliss. WWE recently filed a new trademark for the goddess. Does that mean Alexa Bliss is, in fact, going to transition back to that character? Time will tell, I suppose. We then had Austin Theory backstage, and he was with Vince McMahon again. Theory was asking Vince about maybe getting a good number in the Royal Rumble, but Vince said that Theory should be more concerned with his opponent for Raw, AJ Styles, and said that Theory better bring back a really good selfie. Austin Theory, AJ Styles, another really good match on Raw. Back and forth here between the two of them. Styles put the calf crusher on, but Theory got to the ropes. Theory avoided a phenomenal forearm, attempted to pin Styles with his feet on the ropes. That did not work out for him. And then Styles finally hit the phenomenal forearm on his second attempt and picked up the win. I see a comment in the chat room, Austin Theory versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. Yeah, you might be onto something there. That would not surprise me at all. We haven't seen Shane since last year's WrestleMania. I'm a little surprised that they didn't have Vince make Austin Theory the number one entrant. Like, after losing this match, you could have had a follow-up and Vince could say, you know what? You were going to be the number one entrant in the Rumble. But they did not do that. And you know what? Some people prefer the number one and number two entrants being a surprise. Veer is coming, by the way. The vignettes are back. And as Michael Wayne says, it's been 84 years, just like the woman in Titanic said. Veer is coming. He's coming hard. He's not in the Royal Rumble, at least not yet, but he is coming. He continues to come, and there you go. Send Veer. We want Veer. We had a split screen face-off segment between Becky Lynch and Doudrop. They were in different rooms talking about their match. Becky Lynch insisted on going first, and she did. She ran her mouth for a bit. By the way, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, hey, Aaron, did you know that Veer is coming? No, but thank you for telling me. Veer is, in fact, coming. Thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. I appreciate that. Back to the segment here. Becky said she wants a thank you for giving Doudrop her first title match in WWE. Doudrop said that she will show gratitude when she gets respect from Becky Lynch. She stormed off and she went into the locker room where Becky Lynch was, and the two of them brawled. Referees broke them up. Pretty standard stuff here, but it was fine. No real complaints about it. We then had Rey Mysterio and Dominic interviewed, and they were talking about WWE 2K22. Rey is on the cover. Dominic said maybe one day he'll be on the cover, but he's got to make history himself, maybe win the Royal Rumble. And TJS says, isn't Doudrop doo-doo? Yeah, you're right. But you know what? I forgot about it, so I guess she's not doo-doo. Anyways, if the match sucks, we can go back to calling her doo-doo. Dominic said that he might have to dump his dad over the top, and Rey might be the first one dumped over the top rope. And Rey was a little upset about this, but then we had our tag team match. Remember, last week, Rey dumped Dominic over the top rope and tried to tell him, hey, it's any man for himself in the Royal Rumble. So Street Profits versus Rey and Dominic, another good match. Good matches on Raw this week. Ford did his big dive to the Mysterios. They worked over Dominic for a while. Rey got a hot tag, and then Dawkins pulled Dominic to the outside of the ring. Rey went for the 619, but Ford caught him, and then Rey countered Montez Ford with a victory roll and scored the 1-2-3 victory, getting the win for his team. After the match was over, you had Dominic attempting to toss his father over the top, but Rey countered. Dominic went to the outside, and then Montez Ford threw out Rey. Dawkins threw out his partner Ford, and then the Dirty Dogs threw out Dawkins. Then all 6 men got in the ring and brawled, and the Dirty Dogs were tagged out. And then there was a 4-way face-off with each man in the corner, Ray, Dominic, Ford, and Dawkins. So, you know what? Kind of similar to last week, but it's fine. They were building up the Royal Rumble, and, you know, I really had no issues with it. I thought it was pretty entertaining overall. And as C.L. Spencer says, too many tag teams in the Rumble. I mean, yeah, that's the negative, that we know these guys aren't going to win the Rumble. They're basically just bodies for the match. But you know what? It's fine. You want to build up the whole idea. It's every man for himself and get people hyped for it. I really had no issue with it. Seth Rollins cut a promo, said he's going to SmackDown on Friday. He's got a message that he wants to deliver in person for Roman Reigns. And then we had our final segment of the evening. Michael Wayne said no Royal Rumble by the numbers. Yeah, usually they do those segments. And one thing about this show, too, there were not very many video packages on this show, which I like. I'm not a big fan of doing all the recaps. I don't think it's necessary. I know they do it to just keep people up to speed, but it kind of drags the show down. If you're watching 3 hours of Raw, you really do not want to see a bunch of recaps. So I appreciated that. And I appreciated that the flow of this show moved at a nice pace, better than usual. So we had our final segment, Maryse's birthday party. And you know what? It was entertaining. It was very predictable. Everybody, Stevie Wonder could even see it coming, that this was going to end with Edge and Beth Phoenix spoiling the party. You had a bunch of security out there, dollar store security probably. And Miz had a bunch of gifts for Maryse. He had a painting for her. And then they pointed out this big gift in the ring. Miz said he did not know why it was there. He thought it was a gift for him. So they were very suspicious. They had security open it. Turns out it was a setup. It was a brick inside. And they showed footage from last week when Maryse used the brick on Beth Phoenix. And then Miz had everybody stand up to sing happy birthday. Miz did the worst singing you'll ever hear, but you know what? He's a heel. It works. Then we had Edge and Beth Phoenix arrive. Pretty much everyone expected this. They cut a promo, said that security will not help Miz and Maryse at the Rumble. They beat up the security, and Edge and Beth Phoenix were hitting a bunch of classic moves like the 3D, the Heart Foundation's Heart Attack, and then they Edge powerbombed one of the Rent-A-Cops through the gifts that were in the ring. And that was Raw. That was the end of the segment. It was predictable, but it was fun. I like what they did with the security guys. I like doing the classic finishers and powerbombing the guy through the gifts. It was fun. Predictable, but fun. And overall, I enjoyed Raw. I know that might sound crazy to some people, but I thought it was a fun show. It wasn't the greatest go-home show by any stretch of the imagination, but for 3 hours, I felt like it moved pretty quickly. And you had some really good wrestling matches, and the talking segments were all entertaining. There was nothing on the show that I'm like, oh my God, that was so bad. Like, everything was pretty good. I thought this was a very solid Raw, and I would recommend it. I do not say that often about Raw, but this was one of the better Raws in some time. With football being over and Royal Rumble, WrestleMania season starting, you know, they delivered with a good show this week. And I would probably give it a solid B+. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat, says, it's never been done before, but that would be a good way to make a single person get pushed by having his team be the last two in a Rumble, something different. It would be interesting, and you know what? I would be all for a shocking Royal Rumble winner. I'm not trying to allude to the Shockmaster or anything, but it would be neat if one year somebody won the Rumble that nobody was predicting. And I'm not talking about bringing back a part-timer. I'm talking about somebody who might be in the mid-card, who you just write off. Like, let's say, for instance, Dominic Mysterio. It's not going to happen. But imagine if Dominic won. Like, nobody would predict that, maybe for good reason. But something like that, or a Montez Ford. Like, that would be really interesting, just to do something out of nowhere like that. And really, really put this idea in people's heads that anybody could win the Royal Rumble, because we always pretty much rule out 95% of the field, and it's only like 4 or 5 guys, if that. Sometimes it's even 2 people that we think have a legitimate chance of winning. And the Game is on 100 sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, guys. Says, I knew that Edge and Beth would spoil the Miz and Maryse segment. Who all knew it would happen? I mean, it was pretty much everybody. These segments, you know how they go. But I like that they brought up the big package in the ring, and it was a setup. You know, they did some things to make it entertaining. So whatever. I mean, it's no different than a match where you know there's going to be 20 near falls. So those matches are predictable as well. But if it's done well, then that's the most important thing, in my opinion. Let's see here. Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. It says, I know who will win the Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar, after losing to Lashley after a Heyman double cross. Well, that is one of the working theories for the Royal Rumble, but I will give my final predictions coming up Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time, with the No DQ panel. And I have my predictions pretty much set, but I'm going to think about it a little bit more. That is certainly a fair prediction, and one that a lot of people are going with. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, hey, Aaron, did you know that Hulk Hogan was Mr. America? What? I thought Mr. America was this guy that we never found out who he was because he just disappeared. But yeah, I thought he was a different guy. No, I knew Mr. America was Hulk Hogan. I saw that clip in Madison Square Garden where he lifted the mask and told everybody to be quiet. But he had me fooled for a little bit. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I very much appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. The likes help a lot, more than you might think. So give it a like and spread the word. Tell a friend. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com. And wait a minute, we got one more super chat here from Hamp Connell. So let me get to that. He says, any chance number 30 is The Rock and he wins? I would say there's about a 0.0001% chance. Pretty much not going to happen. I'd love to see it happen, but no. Do not see The Rock showing up in the Royal Rumble match. Anyways, guys, take it easy. Enjoy your week, and I will see you all soon. Say yes to No DQ, and I will see you guys next time.